If you are brand new to reading the Bible and have no clue where to start, I'm so happy for you. Well, not the clueless part. I want to help you with that. But if you, maybe for the first time in your entire life, are excited to open this book, to learn about God, and to deepen your faith, that is one of the most important moments of a person's entire life. Makes me think, just a couple Sundays ago at our church, this young guy came almost jogging up to me, almost dragging his girlfriend in hand. This young guy had just become a Christian, just gotten baptized, and he asked me, "My girlfriend wants to start reading the Bible. Do you have one?" And I pulled off one of the free copies that we had in the church lobby and excitedly handed over to her. And then he asked me this question, and she kind of leaned in for my answer. He said, "Pastor, where should she start?" It's actually a really good question. In my experience as a pastor, starting at the right spot in the Bible is essential to actually reading the Bible. And that might sound like kind of an odd thing to say. I mean, where do you start? I don't know. On the first page? It's like asking someone, "Hey, what part of the movie should I start in?" I don't know, the beginning? So the Bible is really unique in that way that, we live so many years after it's been written that it takes a little bit of thought and wisdom to know the best spot to begin. And that's why today and in a bunch of videos to come, I want to share with you what I think, from my experience, the best progression to read the Bible in. And it's still going to take you some time, and it will still require some effort, but I hope it's a really good, easy to follow path that gets you closer to God and stronger in your faith. So if you're ready for that journey, here's my first suggestion. My first suggestion is not to find the right somewhere, but to find the right someone. Here's what I mean by that. You could start on page 1 of the Bible or halfway through the Bible or with the life of Jesus in the Gospels. But I think if you try to read any of it by yourself, you're going to run into some problems really quickly. The Bible is a beautiful book with a simple message of God's love, but it's also a profound book that has wisdom that you can't get to the bottom of. And if you try to go verse by verse or chapter by chapter as a brand new Bible reader without help, I think you're going to struggle quickly and frequently. So here's my first suggestion. Don't find the perfect somewhere, find the perfect someone. Like right now, can you think of someone that kind of, you have this sense that they get the Bible? Maybe it's a friend who first invited you to their church. Maybe it's one of your relatives that goes every Sunday or who has read the Bible themselves cover to cover. Can you think of someone that you know, that you like talking to, that you kind of trust, that knows a little bit more about this book than you do? I think if you reach out to them and ask them to guide you, they would be so humbled, and if they're anything like me, so excited to teach you what they have been taught about the life, death, and forgiveness of Jesus. Actually, that's not just my suggestion, though. That's the story that we find in one part of the Bible. It's one of my favorites in the book of Acts, chapter 8. It's the story about this African guy who's sitting in his chariot. All right, they didn't have SUVs back in the day. He's riding his chariot back to Africa, and God actually tells a Christian named Philip to run up to the chariot and start a conversation about the Bible. Here's what happens. Then Philip ran up to the chariot and heard the man reading Isaiah the prophet. Isaiah is one of the books in the Bible. "Do you understand what you're reading?" Philip asked. "How can I?" the man said. "Unless someone explains it to me." So he invited Philip to come up and sit with him. The man asked Philip, "Tell me please, who is the prophet Isaiah talking about, himself or someone else?" Then Philip began with that very passage of Scripture and told him the good news about Jesus. I love that so much. Do you understand what you're reading? And the guy's humble enough to admit, how can I? Unless someone who knows it helps me with it. That's my prayer for you. In the following videos, I'm going to give you a really simple path to follow of what pages, what parts of this book. But the most important thing you could do is to reach out, to humbly ask, I'm never going to understand this without help. Would you help me? In this book, Jesus once said, "Those who humble themselves will be exalted." So if you want to be exalted with knowledge, with God's love, with His forgiveness, for knowing Him in a personal and intimate way, humble yourself and ask someone, "Would you help?" That's the first and very best spot to start when you start reading the Bible. Did you enjoy this video? If so, we would love to share even more Jesus with you, even if you have a busy, on-the-go kind of life. Just click here and you can find the audio version for this podcast, along with all the other podcasts that Time of Grace offers.